Hello, welcome to Patricia's Potpourri. I'm Patricia Hazell, and today, as usual, I have something fantastic, somebody who is very, very, very interesting. But first of all, I must tell you, all previous episodes of Patricia's Potpourri is on YouTube, and you may find them. Today, I have a guest that you have commended to come back again, and this is Shelley Monique Whitfield. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, hi. It's nice to be back.
Okay, thank you. The last time we were here, so many people wrote in and asked for you to come in, and it was lots of teachers about their situation with the department, and they identified with some of the problems in which you are having. Would you like to say something to our audience about that?
Well, yes. The problems that I'm facing are because I'm outspoken. I know my rights. I speak up for the rights, my personal rights and the rights of other educators in the workplace in regards to, being who you are, being allowed to be who you are without being ostracized. When it comes to working with the children, sharing your talent, and doing what you do best, in your job every day. It's a problem. The biggest problem in the Department of Education today, I believe, is workplace bullying and intimidation. Of course, it's not only in the Department of Education, but if you do a little research, you'll find out that it's in large corporations. It goes on all the time, but it's getting to a very serious point now. I don't want to bring out names of things, but of people, but I've seen that people have been writing books about the backlash of workplace bullying. Some people have gone as far as to commit suicide as a result of being victimized by workplace bullying and hostile work environment.
I'm quite aware of those books. And I remember someone telling me if I wanted to go or get any place in the Department of Education, I had to stay below the radar. Now, if you're a stay below the radar person,
there's no problem with that.
Right. But what kind of, if you're a person who wants to facilitate change, it's hard. You just talked about, and I know I read a book about somebody, a person that was bullied in the workplace and took it to another level personally. Let me know about your book.
Oh, yeah. Right now, I'm writing a book. My book is called Educated Black Diva 13. It is my personal memoir, of my experiences as an educator and a parent and an aspiring administrator. I'd like to share with people my experiences as they pertain to the positive, and I want to talk about my tragedies and my triumphs, okay? So that when people come in or decide to have a career as an educator, that they have a full picture of what it could be. I mean, you could go into any arena and find the same type of things going on, but I think that, a lot of people believe that education is a field where there's purity and, things are done right because we're working with children. And the truth is that, no, the same politics, negative of things, corruption, etc., is part of the Department of Education as well. Unfortunately, because of that, the children lose out. I think that's a big piece as to why a lot of people ask me, why are the children not learning? Well, I'll say that there's a lack of accountability and that a lot of the school leaders are more in tune to, harassing teachers as opposed to teaching the children and setting the standards for morale for the educators to move forward and teach the children. So that's the big problem. The biggest problems are that instead of supporting teachers are being pulled down. They're afraid to really be who they are or bring to the table what they really have to offer because this goes on right in front of you. It's very blatant, that people who don't go along with the program, whether it be right or wrong, basically are undermined and harassed and pushed around. And if you're not that type of person, if you're the type of person that has, an attitude of standing up for yourself, they say, oh, you can't be bullied. There's no way anybody's going to bully you because you're so tough. No, that's not true. Actually, people who are stronger tend to get bullied more often. Okay, because they are perceived to be more of a threat than the person who's the go along and the follower. So I have to say that at the end of the day, if I ever when I get the chance, and I'm an administrator, whether it be in the Department of Education or anywhere else, that I'm going to make sure that nobody on my staff suffers from that type of experience.
And I hope that you think about the favoritism and the nepotism and the cronyism that goes on in that particular workplace, and no matter whether it's the Department of Education or whether it's in some other venue, that you stop that, because it does great psychological damage.
Long term, they say that many people who are subjected to workplace bullying and hostile work environment suffer long term damage, psychological damage from that. They said it's like when you go into service, and I believe they have a term what they call post traumatic stress. That's exactly and what you experience as a result of being subjected to workplace bullying.
And I remember at one time we had a rash of people going postal.
They called it postal because of the man who shot up in there.
And it was happening with a lot of postal workers.
Wow.
There were lots of things.
Right.
Yes, there were lots of things that happened with postal workers. And when they investigated those people, some of them people felt as though they were bullied on the job.
So I think it's a misconception when people say, oh, you're too tough to be bullied. I think that's a misconception, because the truth is that no matter how tough you are, you can be bullied. I've been in the service. I have a strong background of discipline. I worked as a law enforcement officer, and I'm coming again to share that I'm coming to the New York City Department of Education with most, people who don't have those unique qualities behind them. So yes, I am going to stand up. I am going to say what I think is not right. I am going to speak out against unfair practices and procedures, because in the collective bargaining agreement, which is the agreement between the Department of Education and teachers, it is clearly cited. I believe it's Article 20, 21, 22, that the onus is on them to minimize the hostile work environment, to minimize those type of things, unfair practice and procedure. That's what I was trying to cite. And unfair practice and procedure, if you report it, they just harass you for reporting it. So it's like it's getting in the Department of Education and many places around the country that if you report and you make complaints, you become victimized. So what I'm doing, I want to share my experiences through my book. I'm also establishing the platform for my book through my website. I have a blog site, a personal blog.
Would you tell me about your blog? What, please?
Right.
So how may somebody participate in that?
Well, basically in the blog, I'm writing a lot about different experiences, my experiences with the union, the UFT. I'm writing about my experiences as an educator, my passion, my mission in education, my passion, which is cultural arts, my mission, which is to drive academic achievement through impacting instruction, okay? And I strongly believe that the cultural arts, cultural awareness, which is my talent and my skill, building those skills in the children build confidence. And so that's my passion, bringing joy to the children, helping them find their strengths, helping them to shine, if they will. Once children find that, the educational philosophy is build confidence and the learning never stops, and that is so true.
Once again, as you did in a previous program, I'm asking you about your background. Could you tell me something about your background?
Well, currently I'm studying for my doctorate in organizational psychology at Grand Canyon University, which is an online program. I achieved my advanced master's and advanced certificate at Long Island University in supervision and administration. I have my first master's is in elementary education. Okay, Master of Science in Education at Long Island University. So, I'm not, I've believed that education is really not the key to when it comes down to it. I think that mostly everybody who comes in for this job, they're highly credentialed and that type of stuff. But I think you need another type of armor when you come into these jobs. You need to know that it's not going to be just about your credentials. You don't really get to know the job. Everything that we learn in the books is really just theory. You learn the job by doing the job, by coming in, by interacting with your colleagues. If I'm there for 30 years, so I've been doing something right all of this time. I always say that. You have to be doing something right to get your blessings. You have to be doing something right to last for 30 years. So now, why am I in my last years feeling stressed? Well, sometimes just because we don't fit into the circle doesn't mean we're not ready to fit in somewhere else. So right now, that's how I see things.
It's that circle.
Right, in that particular circle. So at the end of the day, I'm about collaboration. I'm about teamwork. I'm about, promoting the children, developing skills, developing character, developing confidence, preparing students to be college and career ready, able to compete not only nationally, but globally as well. Okay, and enhancing and embracing our diversity, closing the achievement gap, making sure that children go out into the world feeling loved and understanding compassion and how, respect and compassion work to facilitate your steps in your life.
And willing to try and willing to want to do better and want to succeed.
That's right.
And willing to go through the steps
That it takes.
of being to be successful.
But it comes down to how things are done. At the end of the day, you could be doing a school staff could do an excellent job, but it's how they go about doing it. If you don't do it with compassion, with developing positive relationships with students and their families, these are the things they remember as they go forward. The last thing we want to do is to show children ugliness, hatred for any color. We talk to them about bullying each other, but then all too often they observe that adults bully each other. They bully one another. And that's a role model. That's something that you're showing them is okay to do. If you incorporate them in it, it's even worse. So what my goals when it comes to my website is to share. I'm sharing videos. I'm sharing my opinion. I'm sharing other people's opinions. So I would call it's not, back in the day everybody said blog. Now we call it a vlog because we use video and writing to share our experience. So it's basically, if you have to define it, it's a show. It's a show on the internet that I'm using videos and writing to share my experiences and to establish my platform for my personal memoirs, which I'm calling Educated Black Diva 13. I'm calling it Educated Black Diva because I'm an educator. I'm an African American woman. I have a unique experience. I believe it's unique because I think that a lot of times we are not given, as youngsters, we are not led to believe that we have the ability to be leaders and to be role models. But I believe that in my life, as hard as it was for me to get started, because I've had my share of hard knocks, etc., but I think that that is what our students can relate to. Everybody wants to be perfect. Everybody wants to say, I had the best childhood, I had the best marriage, etc. But the truth is that the people who have more to share and what you could relate to is really the people who have adversity, okay? When you have everything so perfect, not to say you don't have anything to offer because everything is perfect, but you really don't know how you would respond if you were in a situation of adversity, okay? If you overcome obstacles, you tend to have a determination. about you, about your personality. And, I'm someone who has overcome some obstacles. And at the end of the day, I'm able to share and I can relate to students who are not perfect. I can meet the diverse needs of our students because I don't believe that they have to be perfect to get to engage them. I think some people, when they come from certain backgrounds, oh, if this kid has one thing wrong or they know something about their family that's not right or whatever, they judge. And to me, the children should have the opportunity to come as they are and be engaged without bias, which is the same thing with the educators. We should be engaged without bias. We should be embraced for our talents and our skills. We should not be forced to compete because the job is not about competing. It's really about meeting the needs of these children. And the children's needs are so great that where is their time to do this harassment, creating hostile work environments? I don't think school leaders should have time to do that when they're working in a public school setting because the children are so needy. And they have so much to offer, but we have to put our energy into that. So someone has to be accountable. Someone needs to be accountable for what the children are not getting, the lack. Someone needs to be accountable. So for that being said, the public school system needs to be transformed. Most of them need to be transformed in order to meet the children's needs. And that's where I'm coming from. I'm trying to catch it right in the moment. I don't want to write a book later on about what happened to me 5 years ago. I want to write a book about what's happening to me right now.
You want to be proactive.
Exactly. I want to write
reactive.
I want to write about what's happening right now and what the solution should be and how I don't have to be an administrator in the Department of Education. That's okay with me. But you know what? As long as I get the opportunity to be an administrator somewhere, okay, to make a difference in a cultural environment such as ours, I will be fine with that because all across the country, minority and disadvantaged children are suffering. They're not being given the opportunities like, to meet their personal needs because the system should be designed to meet their needs as well. And that's what's not happening. So when people ask me, why are minority children not learning? Why are black children not learning? They're not learning because the system has not been designed to meet their diverse learning needs. Simple. Okay? And that is what needs to change. What needs to change is that the system needs to be designed to meet the needs, the diverse learning needs of our students.
I believe in individualized education too. And I know they do something like that for special ed students with an IEP.
But it should be for all the students.
It should be all
students. It should be for all the students.
And I remember one time I created a little program with the students, unbeknown to the powers that be, where the children would write what they wanted to learn. And when I got a book, a social studies book, a math book, English book, and I let them go through the table of contents and write down what they wanted to learn, things they wanted to know. You should have seen the interest that generated in the students and the mastery that was done after they saw what was available, what they didn't know, and what they wished to know. And I understand exactly and how you want to change the system to make sure that there's more diverse learning for children.
My vision is that children will be able to find the joy in learning because that's what's missing. The one thing I'd like to share that I don't think I shared before is that this year I started teaching phys ed. There's come about a need for the children to do more movement. There's people understand that a lot of the children are obese because they don't move enough. Okay, and gym is just not enough. Okay, for the kids. So my background is in, I have a strong cultural arts background in dance, and because I've been doing the annual Black History production for the past 4 years, they saw that I had an expertise in dancing.
Could you tell me something about these I've heard talk about these Black History Productions, and what you had in the last 3 years, 4 years,
4 years. Yeah.
last 4 years. Could you tell me about the first year, what you did, the second year, and tell me the type of things you did and the interest that it generated?
Well, the first year that I introduced the Black History celebration, it was really basically about giving recognition to Black leaders. I talked about, I had the children act out different poems and songs, and it was a collaborative school effort. All of the grades and the teachers got involved and had their classes either sing a song, do a poetry, or a dance or something on that theme of leadership, of leadership. So I got the recognition for that, and then that's how we did this the next year. The next year I started to focus on Motown and Motown singers and actors and the history of Motown, just to make the children aware of where, a lot of these artists come from, that it's not just something you get up and sing today, but there's a history to it, and that we need to embrace it so that we can understand, what they had to do, what they had to go through. That evolved into this last year. I did what's called the Who Am I production. That production was basically the children gave speeches about giving facts about famous African Americans. It was an interactive production where the audience was given the opportunity to guess who they thought they were portraying. And in that, I incorporated modern ballet, tap, mime, and I even did a step production, which was phenomenal. I have to say, we worked very hard. We worked almost 6 months on it, and my principal gave me a letter of recognition. She said it was one of my best, but we worked on it a very long time because of all the problems and the upheaval. The microphone was stolen, all kinds of things. We couldn't get in the auditorium. There were a lot of obstacles. So I think that sometimes when there are a lot of obstacles, even with children in their education, when there are obstacles, people tend to work harder. I think in my life, that's what pushed me. I didn't come from the perfect background as a little girl or a teenager, and I was determined to succeed as a result of it. And I think sometimes, when things are given to us easily, we don't work as hard. But because we were meeting so many obstacles this year, that is why we worked so hard when we were able to get into the auditorium, when we were able to have a practice, when we did have a microphone. And so ultimately, the energy built up to the point where the kids were serious, I was serious, we were being attacked for staying after school, volunteering my time to stay after school. We did it. But at the end of the day, the production, the output was so fabulous that everybody appreciated it. And that's all that's important. I'm not looking for money. I don't think the kids are looking for anything but a good time and the opportunity to shine. And that's so important. That's so important. So when they say it takes a village to raise a child, it really does. When they say build confidence and learning never stops, these are true statements, okay? And attitude has a lot to do with a little thing that makes a great big difference, because what we project to these students is what they go away with for the rest of their lives. We think that, okay, that's just another class that graduated, but the truth is that everything that we do, it puts something deep down inside of their heart. So we have to be serious about what we show these children. We can't show hate. We can't show division. That's just a negative lesson, and they don't need that lesson. The lesson they need is, how can we come together as a team and make it happen? That's the lesson that they need. That's what they need. And that's what the Department of Education needs to foster, and school leadership needs to be about, bringing out the best in your staff, building morale, okay, bringing everybody together as a team, accepting everybody on the level of what they come to the table with. At the end of the day, I can't be fabulous in everything that you're fabulous in, and vice versa. So we have to respect one another. It boils down to respect,
It's almost time to die. But I remember one time there was a superintendent in District 4 many years ago, named Anthony Alvarado. And he had every teacher, even on the elementary school, teach their best. Because, like you said, everybody's not strong in every area. And I was always impressed with him for that. I never even remember even seeing him or meeting him, but I know teachers who were a part of that project, and I know how very, very glad they were. I want to thank you. I want to thank you very much for looking at Patrisha's Potpourri, and I would like to thank Miss Shelley Monique Whitfield for coming back.
Sure.
And I would like you to look at previous episodes on YouTube, and especially Shelley Monique Whitfield's previous episode. Look at them back to back, and it'll give us a lot of wonderful ideas of what to do in education. I want to thank the public for being so supportive, and I thank you for having me invite her back again. Thank you for taking the time and writing and calling to have Shelley Whitfield, Monique Whitfield, back again. Okay, I want to thank you for being a wonderful audience. I really appreciate all of the accolade that we get, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch Patrisha's Potpourri. And remember, you can get all previous episodes on YouTube. And oh, the best is yet to come. So please keep watching. And if you have an idea, please write to us here at BronxNet Studios, Patrisha's Potpourri. And if you would like to be a guest, remember, it's always, the doors are really open to you. Shelley Monique Whitfield, is there anything you would like to say, the final words you'd like to say to our cameras?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to say, please, please, please check out my website, my blog site, my vlog site. Check it out, edubdiva13. That's ShelleyMoniqueWhitfield.com. Check it out, okay?
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye now. Please keep writing, call, and come.